Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Conversation with JD Modede and your host, Nomsel Thelma Machabango. On the topic, again, raising a new generation of leaders. We started this topic last week and we were talking about what it takes to raise a new generation. So, welcome to tonight's episode. Like, share, subscribe, invite a friend, a leader. A new generational leader, an old leader, and invite them to this conversation tonight. Good evening, Ambassador JD Modede.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you today?
I am excited about the topic.
I'm excited. I think I've been getting loads of questions all through today. Today's been one wonderful day and one very busy day for me as well. And I think we're touching on certain things, which is very critical at this moment as well. And this is what I say that our world is in a major leadership crisis. And this is what I really hope our audience also will go along with us to appreciate the value of this time being spent with us as well. And it's so nice to be back here on the program again to serve you. Thank you.
Yes, this is definitely a much needed topic. We could see, ladies and gentlemen, from all your your comments and your questions from last week. So we have sat down and we have taken what you have been commenting and asking throughout the last week's session, and that's what we are embarking on this evening. Tonight we will be talking about mentoring and succession, and we are listening to you and answering your questions mainly tonight. So one of the questions that we didn't get to touch on last week, which I believe is a very critical question for this time and season, is, can you raise a generation that doesn't want to be raised?
Was that question for me, or you're going to answer that question?
It's for you. And you know why I like this question? I like this question a lot because I think I probably said something similar to my parents when, they're trying to say something to you and you respond by saying, well, I never asked to be born. So you're like, everything that you were doing, did I ask you? So that's what I was thinking about with this question, that can you raise a people that don't want to be raised?
Wow. That sounds more like a rebellious generation. No, but really, I think it's a very, very vital, very important question, really.
Yeah.
And for all the people that are joining us as well, I really want us to get this and understand this as well, because we have a whole lot of different things going on in our generation right now that I don't even think the coming generation, the young generation, so to speak, the generation coming behind us, have an appreciation for anything called leadership.
Yeah.
Right now. And that might be a major challenge also for us, because you see, I thought about something that, and this is the point, that everything we see or experience in our world today is the product of an idea.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of false idea, different kind of crazy ideas out in our world today that are bad or result of bad examples, bad things I've said, bad role models, or the lack of role models. So we got to be very, very careful now that you're not trying to push something to people that don't even understand it. But really, that question starts also with observation, because leadership. I think one of the things that you got to understand about leadership is that leadership requires it requires development. It's developing that which is inside of you already. Your leadership is inherent inside of you. Now, you don't learn it from the outside. You don't go to school to learn leadership. Literally, you observe activities of others, behavior and attitudes of others, and attitudes produce behavior. Now, the concept and the ideas or the pictures that the younger generation have seen most of the time do not even depict anything to do with leadership. Now, one of the things we got to learn also is that you don't fight ideas, or else it just keeps on multiplying. And I've seen different kind of crazy ideas in our world today, how people think this is the right way to make money, this is the kind of way to speak, this kind of way to live, and things like that. And it's just based on what they've seen. So now we got to be very intentional about putting out a better picture out there that must be better than whatever they've seen before. And hence, there's something that we need to kick off immediately. And it needs to start from our homes, our families, our communities, our business places, our governments, wherever you have anyone in any form of leadership position, wherever anyone that can be an active role model needs to do this. And this word is mentorship. And I think it just brings to your thoughts and your desires today, because mentorship begins with observation. The examples in our families, in our communities, in our business organization. If you look at some of the people in our business world today, some of the great names that we celebrate, they had mentors as well. They had people that they looked up to. They had people that were their role models. They had people that they learned from. They had people that passed on stuff to them. So we need, role models in our communities, in our organizations again, that their lives and their activities generally, will motivate and influence, a new generation. And that is why, I said last week that, it's not necessarily just raising a new generation from the younger people, but also trying to work on the old mindset as well. Because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You can't be better than your thinking. So if you improve your thinking, even as an older generation person, you become literally a new person. So if you continually renew your thinking and get quality information, in fact, the quality of information in your mind keeps you young. Keeps you
I'll believe you on that one. I'll believe you.
Look, I've seen 20-year-old think don't have quality information, and they're old before even they started their lives.
Man.
They talk, think, dress, look old. Why? Because a product of the quality of information that they have in them. That is why you will see another 70-year-old man that understands certain things about health, about the right things to eat, has quality information. Reads probably a GQ magazine, like I do. I read a GQ magazine. So I probably at 70, I'll still be looking the same way. I feel 30, I think 30. And that's just because of the quality of information that I feed myself. And I think that is one thing that we got to begin to look at the new generation. Yes, they might be kind of rebellious. It looks like it. That's just because they do not know any better. When they begin to see something better, it begins to attract them, and it becomes, an inspiration that you can literally use to influence them eventually. And this is what is missing right now.
Wow, that is that is very true. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hear your thoughts on mentorship, leadership, and succession. Have you been mentored before? What did you think about it? What was the process you went through? What are your thoughts on leadership and mentorship? One of the things that we slightly touched on was when it comes to mentorship, the mentee and mentor relationship. Sometimes that is something that in this generation seems to be a bit of it's being rejected a bit, because we have seen some people have not had the best of mentors, especially in letting them fly when they think they should start flying, but the mentor thinks, no, you're not ready. So let's go back a little bit in regards to who should ask who. Should I come to you and ask you to be my mentor? And can you refuse me as a mentee?
I think, number one, I think our generation really as well needs to understand what mentorship is all about, because I've seen quite a whole lot of things out there that people bring out in the name of mentorship and training and whatever. I see people who are students who are still crawling and trying to mentor others. I don't know if they're trying to mentor others into crawling as well, but mentorship is a very, very vital tool in our world, in our community. In fact, I believe it's one of the things that is missing in our world today, why we're where we are. So maybe we need to first talk about mentorship. So I'm going to talk about that as well in trying to answer your question. And that way we'll be able to come to the answer of that question about who should ask who, because most of what we see as mentorship today is more of a parasite relationship. Because as a mentor, I should not need you. I should not need you at all, because it's a relationship between two people or more, whereby a more experienced, more developed, more achieved, or successful person in a certain area is giving guidance and direction, to those who are coming behind. But also, it's not that because he wants to give it, but because there is a protege or a mentee who submits himself to that mentorship, aspiring to get to where that mentor is. And the mentor should understand that, and the mentor guides them. Now, the mentor's job is not just to get them to where they are, but inspire them even to go beyond them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't find a lot of mentors that want you to be greater than them, that want even you to know as much as they do. And this is why, because a lot of people do not understand the concept and the purpose and the power of mentorship. Yeah. Mentorship is also about, passing, down your experience or your knowledge, your connection, the things that you have acquired or you have learned, over time, through rigorous, process in life as well, and you pass it down to another individual or to a protege or to a student of yours as well. And I think this is very critical. It is, really, mentorship is the greatest act of leadership. It's equipping another person, to take your place. A lot of leaders, or what we call leadership today, do not understand that. And if they do, they will, or they're not doing it for some reason.
It's just that statement you just said.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of hiccups comes from. Equipping someone to take your place.
Okay.
Who wants that? Who wants to train someone to replace them, especially when they're not ready to go?
This is where the lack of understanding, I believe, of true mentorship is missing. Because if you do not understand that, mentorship really, it's a manifestation of certain things inside of you. It actually manifests your level of maturity, and also it reveals, your self-confidence. And if you've really discovered who you really are, you see, when you discover who you really are, you are not intimidated by any of that. Okay. In fact, you begin to see that you hold your generation a depth that you need to make sure you pass it on to them. I always say to people, I remember all the time when we're always on the way to the Bahamas. I said to some of my friends, I can see one of them online right now. Hello, Ambassador Yemi. Thank you so much for being online. All the other people. Good evening. Now, yes, and I really want to have your comments. Help me here, help. Okay, now when all of us, and Ambassador Yemi is also one of our trustees on our board as well, and he knows that we going to the Bahamas and sitting under our founder and our leader, it's not just for us. It's for all the people that we're going to go pass this information on. So I don't go to a summit, a conference, travel all the way from the United Kingdom and go to the Bahamas to learn just because of my own self gratification or my own self ambition. No, it's because as much as I'm learning, I'm already thinking of who I'm going to pass it down to, because whatever I've learned that I've not processed and passed down to others to know as well, has not become a successful process. In fact, we depreciate and we actually bring less value to the one that have passed the information to us. And in this case, in the person of Dr. Miles Monroe and many other great teachers that we work with in those settings as well. And I think this is very important for many people to understand. And it goes into every sector. Either you're in government, you're in business, you're in banking, you're a spiritual leader and things like that. Most of the time, and this is why a lot of leadership thrive in subjecting people rather than empowering people. Yeah. But leadership, let me qualify. True leadership is all about empowerment of others. Empowerment of others. Leadership that does not empower others is not true leadership. Can I say that
No.
again? Leadership that does not empower others is not true
Is not
leadership.
true
And
leadership.
I want every politician to write this down. In fact, they must have it in their agenda. You know, every director, every boss, every inventor, whatever you're doing, is there
Wow.
somebody else that is learning what you?
From you.
Yes. If it dies with you, you're a big failure, a successful failure. So most things, you know, just like Dr. Miles Monroe would say, the richest place on earth, where? Is the graveyard.
The graveyard.
You know, a lot of leaders die with everything they've learned. They didn't pass it on to them. So there's no benefit to the generation that's coming behind. For us to raise a new generation, we need to pass the power, the knowledge, the experience, the things that we have acquired through rigorous, you know, activity, so that they don't even have to pass through the same rigor. So
Wow.
our generations get better. They are more advantaged. But it looks like even the younger generation are more disadvantaged right now.
Well, I was going to
Tell me
come on
about
to
it.
that.
Okay,
I was
all
going
right,
to
okay. Did I open up a kind of
I am
sweet?
representing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are talking about mentorship and succession on the topic raising a new generation of leaders. We'd love to hear your thoughts on mentorship and succession this evening. So one of the quotes that I love is says, "What an older person sees sitting down, a young person sees standing up." Yet in our generation, one of the things that we seemingly struggle with is knowing the right access to a mentor. We see so many great people that we are inspired by, we want to learn from. And sometimes we want to go beyond holding your book. We want to go like what you've just said, you would go to Bahamas, sit under him. But I'm sure you had access somehow. You didn't just arrive at his house. There was something that you might have done to get access directly to him. And this is something that we speak amongst ourselves. How do I get access to Ambassador JD? How do I get access to Dr. Miles, well, he's late now, but to Rev Celia, you know, Reverend, you said Ambassador Yemi, how do I get access to great men that have such great insight in this day?
Okay, I think the first part of that question really is more on the person that's looking for the access, the mentee. I'll tell you, I'll use my story. Okay, I think that would be easier for me. I think I got to a place in my life that I needed more. I kept on thinking there is more. I wasn't fulfilled in whatever I was doing. I was in the IT sector. I'd worked in the engineering. I'd worked in the accounting sector, and now I'm in the IT. I was earning good, but I was not happy with whatever I was doing. I was angry going to whatever I was doing, even though I was being paid for doing it, you know. And I thought there was more. There was just more. So I was trying. So I was looking for something. And eventually I got to understand it that really I was looking for myself. Really what I was looking for was me. And everything I was looking for was really in me, but I didn't know how to look for it. I didn't know how to bring it out. Until one day, I think I just got, I watched something online or somewhere. Somebody gave me a tape. And it was this man called Dr. Miles Monroe. First time I would hear about it. And I listened to him. I said, who is this guy? He appealed to everything that was in me. I listened to that tape over and over and over, that literally I could tell you everything there. I would just speak everything that is in there. Everything got stuck with me. And it woke up something in me that now made me hungry and hungry. So now I went to now start looking, and you know, IT days were just coming in then and things like that. So I began to look for his material, his name, what about him? And eventually I was able to get some information, and I met some people that said they knew him as well. So what am I saying? I had to search. There was a hunger, there was a desire, there was a passion in me, you know, that now look for, because you see, and this is where, you know, your purpose or your desire will actually define the kind of mentorship that you need or the kind of teacher. Really, you know, it is what is in us that should define the kind of education that we should get. But the education in our world is something that is just handed over to you. They look at you and think, you look like your mother. I think you should be a nurse. Bam. And they send you to nursing school. Then you finish in nursing school and you're still not happy. And that's exactly what happened to me. I went to university, studied engineering. I've done accounting. I've done management, an MBA, and I'm in the IT sector. They told me there's a lot of money there. I went in there. I wasn't still happy until I got this step. So I went after what I believed had woken up something. So there needs to be, a hunger in you for you to want more, because where you want to go, there's someone already there. And once you can also begin to now say, how did this person get there? And there's a resonance, there's something that resonates between in your spirit and that person and the place that you want to go, then you got to go after it. The other part of it is now that the one that you're going after now gives you access, opportunity, because mentoring is more effective when you're able to observe people's life. So you can start from afar, but it doesn't work alone from afar. You got to eventually get close, because there's a lot of mentors. Sometimes if you get very close to them, you might see some things that you might not. So their entire life is got to speak, not just part of it. Because if your mentor does something that becomes crazy or becomes a disaster suddenly, it will affect you. No. And so a very, very careful relationship to get into. And also really, for those who believe in this, I believe so much in prayer, you got to pray as well to really find the right person, to be in that position. However, most of it is resting on the mentee. You got to be willing to submit all you are on that mentor. The mentor will not change the schedule for you. You will change your schedule to fit in the schedule. You will chase your mentor down. Your mentor doesn't need you, but if you chase him down and he sees your hunger and your passion, he will open up to you. Your mentor is not supposed to be a parasite on your life. I'm not supposed to charge you for me. I see a lot of people charging others for mentorship. No, you're not there yet. You're still looking for somebody to pray on. Wow. Mentors or leaders are looking for others to empower and bring them up as well. That's where it should be. Thank you.
I was just thinking, is it possible to become a great leader without direct mentorship, just through reading from the people that inspire you, but without actual direct mentorship by anybody or from anybody?
I mean, you can take a lot of their knowledge. That's why what books are for is people pass their own knowledge, their experiences, they compress it in a book and give you the book. You see, I used to read Dr. Miles' book a whole lot, but when I met him, I met not just the book, but the source of the book itself. Now you get to the source is better than the book. I put it that way. The source. So when I got into a relation with Dr. Miles, I found it difficult, not difficult to read the books. I could tell you exactly what was in the book without reading it. So most of the books, I don't really read those books. I use them more as references because I knew the book before the book was written. Yeah. I got the full gist of the book. I saw the book in action in his life. So it wasn't a person writing a book and it wasn't demonstrated. So like my mentor, my mentor is unique, I'm telling you. It will tell you that it took me 30 years to write this book. That means I didn't just come up with a concept in my head and started writing. No, it proved the principles and the concept over time, refined it over time, demonstrated it, practiced it, tested it in different situations and scenarios. And some of our ambassadors, thank you so much, can testify to this, that before they even now put a compressed version in the book. So you can get some, but not the OGs. And that is why you've got to be very, very careful before you choose a mentor. It's a very, it's a rigorous work for you to choose a mentor. Don't jump into mentorship.
Wow. I love what is just saying. Access to great mentorship comes through humility, hunger.
Thank you, yes.
Hunger for personal growth and commitment to pay the price for being mentored. And I have to honestly say that this is something that we lack in this generation. The endurance and that hunger to pay the price for personal growth. We have the hunger for personal growth, but we don't want to pay the price. We are, I don't want to say microwave generation, but that's what they call it. But we don't have that patience to stay with someone for 1 year without seeing the results, to follow someone for 2 years without getting what we want or what we came to you for. We want what we want to get what we came
No,
for.
I won't blame that generation for that. That's just because of the examples they begin to see.
Yeah.
And that is what is producing those results. So we see that we have a major problem, not just in the leadership crisis that we have, but even the generation that's come behind us, because
Yeah.
they don't see the reason why they have to go through that rigor. They don't see the reason why they have to go through that process, because a generation has shown them that they don't have to go through that, because they are not true leaders. They're manipulators. They're thieves of their generation. They rob their generation while they sit in the position of leadership, and that begins to send a signal to those who are behind, like it's the truth, like it's the right way. This is the narrative that we got to change, and that is one of the reasons why Etoila, amongst many others, are out there making this cry out. Etoila Europe is crying out with this conversation, saying we got to all do something. We got to change the narrative. And this is why we're here tonight, amongst many other, and many other people needs to be doing this. We need to get this into our schools, into our families, into our organization. We need to have soft skills, leadership development in our workplaces, so that the guys that work for us, we know we're not developing an organization just with a leader, but of leaders, that every one of us take responsibility. It doesn't matter who you. I'll tell you a story. I read a book that my mentor told us to read once, and it's about the power of nice or something like that, I think. And it just talked about how you do things nicely. And they were going to give a firm, a contract. Literally, the people that were going to offer them the contract, they made a decision right from the security house, because of the way they met the security and their attitudes towards them as an organization. And it's like, if your gate men or your security lads can be this good, then we believe what is inside is even better.
Wow. Wow. So you just touched on something I was thinking, attitude, because I was thinking to myself, could it be that the attitude of the younger generation might also be one of the reasons why some older generations don't want to mentor? Sometimes it's like, I know what you're coming for, and it's not necessarily for you to be great for your nation or for your community, it's for yourself. Therefore, they refuse to mentor, or they don't. I would
take the other way, that the older generation should be blamed for the wrong attitude of the younger generation. You know why? Because attitude is a product of your knowledge base. So whatever they know best, that is what produces their thinking and their belief system, which produces their attitude. So attitude does not just come from anywhere. You come blank. So you're a product of the things that you've seen, you've learned, you've heard, you believe it, and it becomes your thinking process and literally begins to form your behavior. So if we're going to blame why the younger generation are the way they are, we got to look at our present generation or the generation ahead of us. What did they do? Because we taught them whatever they are. Now we got to re-teach these people. We need a new information, new thinking, new mindset out there for us to change this.
Wow. So insightful and impactful. Thank you so much. We are talking about mentorship and succession. End with this. I know we just got like a minute left.
Oh my God.
Why?
Okay.
What can keep the relationship between a mentee and a mentor healthy? How can they have a healthy, or what do you classify, what is a healthy relationship between a mentor and a mentee?
Oh, okay. I think Ambassador Yemi also gave us some clue there. I think first thing really, the humility of the mentee is very, very important. The hunger of the mentee is important, but also the mentor as well. The mentor has got to be one that does not have a low self-esteem about themselves, that have a very poor self-concept, or that is trying to self-preserve, because a lot of times, we know something, but because we work just with our own personal ambition, we don't want to transfer it to other people. So we now get to you literally will see that your mentor is only just using you to develop himself, rather than passing to you what he already knows, and he has a desire to make you better and greater. So low self-esteem, fear, most leaders, they're immature, because a lot of leaders, oh my God, our time.
I'm looking at the time. I'm like,
okay, let me slot this
hour.
in. Let me slot this in before we go. A lot of leaders measure their worth by their position. So they never want to leave, or they never want to let go of it. So they think if they give it to you, they're going to lose their position. Whatever they do, they're going to lose it anyway. So it's better for you to let it go so that you don't lose it. So if you get what I mean, it will take me time to unbundle that. But a lot of leaders, most of the time, measure their worth by their position, which is not so. Really, you are as successful as the amount of people that you're able to influence, that you're able to empower to the same place. Not you just being the only king that subjects everybody. I think that's all I'm going to say.
Wow. Again, if everything that you know dies with you, then you're a generational failure. Ladies and gentlemen, again, out of time, but not out of questions. We are not done. We will be back again same time next week, Monday at 9 p.m. Like, subscribe, share, so that you get a notification when we are live again next week, Monday. Ambassador Jaden Wadede, so insightful. Thank you very much. See you next week, Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miles Monroe Jr., and I'm the chairman of the board for the International Third World Leaders Association. Our organization was birthed to respond to and address the critical need for quality, effective leadership development and training in the emerging developing nations.
Our vision is to establish a global network of leaders from every discipline,
committed to the highest standards of excellence in leadership training, personal development,
mutual accountability, and fraternal support, implementing relevant and innovative leadership philosophy based on time-tested precepts, principles, and values.
Our mission is to influence the destiny of developing third world nations through leadership training,
personal development, supportive relationships, and global networking.
Our purpose is to provide transformational solutions
in response to the dynamic leadership needs of the emerging third world developing